I'm Karya. As of right now, I'm 25. I would consider myself a classical oil painter, but I'm more of a copyist. A copyist is someone who makes copies of old paintings in similar methods and so on. So I don't have that many originals, and some would consider that not an artist or a painter. I come from Turkey, and it has been now almost 6 years in Berlin.
Always in my face, trying to put me in my place, taking away all I've ever been.
When did I decide to become an artist? I wanted to be a lot of things. I wanted to be an archaeologist and a biologist, and I wanted to write poetry, and I wanted to paint, and I thought I could dance. You know, I had an excitement for everything. It was more of a process of elimination that these things fell out one by one, and eventually art was what was left and what I settled on. On my shelves actually is the little gifts my father has given me over the time. There is the engravings of Achilles' funeral. There is the fossils my father brought me, thinking that one day I might just be an archaeologist of either biology kind or history kind. There's the poetry books. I have a notebook, handwritten notebook edition from Nazım Hikmet, also my father's gifts. He was always so sportive. Whenever I wanted to do something, he wanted to make sure that I have a way to access it. And I guess my little collection of trinkets is a testimony to that. Becoming an artist, on the other hand, was, a process of elimination. I looked at how my family members who are doctors live and decided that that's no life. Their exhaustion, their stress, the way patients treat them. I looked at how historians process their work. I looked at the funding and the struggle they need to go through just to showcase that their work is important, and when they make a major discovery, what they get in return, and it was just not worth it. I looked at what it means to study literature and what you can do when you come out of it, and how it is quite a pipeline to marketing, and well, I'm in marketing now, so I guess I did not get out of that. And illumination by illumination, I ended up with painting. I know it's a difficult career, but I don't think you can be a starving artist if you approach it professionally. And I thought I could make it work, and so far it's working fine. I'm trying to mentally put this in a way that doesn't sound dense and overly academic and overly formal, because aesthetic philosophy is a thing. And that comprehensive anthology of aesthetics, that is the summary. And it is actually something I study and write in a lot. So, in simple terms, I think art is when you take a form, the physical form of something. For painting, it's the paint itself. For music, it's the sound. For movies, you have your composition and light. The physical form of something. Combine it with a concept, quality of which is determined by emotional value, impact, relatability, or if it's a logical philosophy, consistency, and, well, if it can be falsified. So, form, concept, and you put it in a visual language, design. Form is craft, concept is philosophy, design is aesthetic communication. And in between the three of these things, you create an art piece. So at the end of the day, an art piece can be strong or weak in any of these three pillars. You have conceptual art that completely forgoes craft. You have strong craft work that is not very designed or conceptual. It might feel repetitive, but the craft is really good. And you have purely design work that is not strong in form or concept, but truly communicates something. And art rises in its value and its communication and sophistication as these three pillars strengthen and strengthen and strengthen. They are not mandatory to have, but they are strengthening to have. So I would say that I am lying closer to craft, because I don't really have original works, which is where design and concept comes in. And I hope to get to a point where I can create that too. I know it's a little dense, because at the end of the day, that art philosophy thing comes out of Well, aesthetic philosophy, if you try to read it, it starts with Socrates and keeps going, and it's thick with religion, it's thick with prejudice, and it's something that cumulatively evolves, and a lot of the time we don't think about why we do art and what we do and why we do it. It's intuitive to everything, but it's an interpersonal experience. Intuitively, we are all experiencing the same thing. Just like how the rain falls, there's a consistency to it. And if there's consistency, if there's reliability, if I can put the same thing in and get the same thing out, then there's a system. And aesthetic philosophy is a system which studies and examines exactly how do we experience art and how do we consistently create it, what is beauty, what is art, functions, limitations. It is a study field, and it is not objective or subjective, it's a hybrid. There are things we can discuss and know about, and there are things that is very personal, and that's perhaps why a lot of people confuse it for subjective or objective. No, it's a convoluted mess. Currently what I create is master copies. The reason I started creating them, the impact, was the lack of availability in education around these things. Historically, artists learned by making copies of their masters or other masters, copies of the copies. That's why some paintings have 30 copies existing, because they were staple pieces for education. People made so many copies of them for learning purposes. Today, art education uses the same methods in some universities, like Florence Academy of Arts, Royal Academy of London, and so on. But these places are very hard to get into, and for a foreign student, radically expensive. I could not afford or get into any of these places, but I wanted to learn still. So I turned to art philosophy and art history, trying to figure out how the people I admire the paintings of learned. How did Elizabeth Villa-Brown study when women were not allowed in schools? How did Leonardo da Vinci learn the things he learned when textbooks were not available? There is a source to everything. So I tried to go back to the source, and what I found was to learn the materials, learn the basics, fundamentals, and make copies. And that's what I'm doing right now. Maybe Caravaggio might be dead, but his paintings and methods are here, and to make a copy is to learn from him. Maybe Elizabeth Villa-Brown has never left behind study materials, but her paintings are study materials. And that's where these paintings come from. I am not yet fully confident in my skills to be venturing out on my own and making my own work, but I think I'm going to be doing that during next year. May I show an object?
Yeah, sure, please.
Sorry, my shelves are always a mess. There are a lot of books here that I studied, and some of them a bit more marked than others. Unfortunately, I can't find the one, Elizabeth Villa-Brown's autobiography. I couldn't find immediately Villa-Brown's biography, but there are books like these. This is Joshua Reynolds. He was the director of the London Art Academy for 3 years, around the times it was founded. And these are students' notes from his lectures about what to focus on as an artist and beyond. From founding materials for the Academy of Arts in Paris to Elizabeth Villa-Brown's journals, Caravaggio's own works, and court records, there are so many historic documents to draw method out of. It doesn't have to be locked out in universities, it doesn't have to be gate-kept. A little bit of research reveals a lot. It's public knowledge. My hope from being an artist is to gather this knowledge that exists behind gates you can only pass by paying through, in institutions that are not accessible, in people who are not sharing it, in courses that are priced so high that you might as well pay with your kidney. So I want to learn that from history, from all the resources that is already available, put it together as an educational free resource, beginner to advanced, and leave it out there. I wanted to have this when I was a teenager looking for education, and if I didn't find it, I can make it. There is a need for it. And I think that's what really changes the world. We see a gap, we fill it, not because we are put to the task of filling it, but because we have the means to fill it. That's what I want to do as an artist. I may not paint the best paintings, I may never have a series of originals that is profound, but I would like to master what I know and make that knowledge free and public for all. To younger people, I would say, nothing starts in a presentable state. Nothing starts as an expert. We all begin as dumbasses, without talent, without resources, without anything. My first paintings were stickmen. I'm happy to show them to you. I did not have the knowledge I have when I first cracked open an aesthetic philosophy book. I did not have my stream start with a couple thousand followers. Everything starts with nothing. And it is that perfect moment to be learning, to be experimenting, to be trying. So if you look at people who are ahead of you and feel like, oh my God, there's no way, there's too much competition. No, learn, develop skills, really observe what's happening around you, and try and try and try. It doesn't matter what you have, it matters what you're gonna make out of it. So start with nothing. That is the most valuable thing you have.